It may still be summer, but Christmas is going to come sooner than you think, and the more prepared you can be, the greater impact your church can have. And so today on Practical Church Planting, we're going to give you 5 Christmas sermon series ideas.
Welcome back to Practical Church Planting, where in 15 minutes or less, we'll give you practical tips, advice, and encouragement to help you plant and grow healthy churches. My name is Brian Androsian. Joining me is Dylan Dodson. And today we're talking about 5, this is going to blow you away right now, 5 Christmas sermon series ideas, and we're recording this in July.
In July. Here's the thing, 2 caveats. 1, why so early? Because it's going to come sooner than you think. Yep. And if you really want to plan for a big attended month and Christmas, all that sort of thing, it's better not to wait till the last minute. It really reduces the stress off of you the earlier you can be and just planning out it is. So if you're not someone that typically plans out your teaching calendar, it's a great practice to have because you'll get better at it as you go. Like right now, this morning we planned stuff. So we're about a year ahead.
Yeah.
We've never been a year ahead, but we've always been planning ahead. And the more you can get at it, the better you get at it. The more planning can go into it, all that sort of thing. So I would recommend, even if you don't know all your other series, go ahead and get Christmas down so you can start proactively thinking about ideas of things that you can do.
So you're saying Christmas is a big deal?
Christmas is a big deal.
Never heard that before.
Number 2, this is Practical Church Planting. And so you could Google Christmas sermon series ideas. In fact, we tried to do this a few weeks ago as we were trying to figure it out. But the problem is, it's not just about having a catchy title. It's about knowing what exactly you're going to preach during the month of December.
Yeah.
So we're going to give you 5 today. There are plenty you can Google. But the benefit of this practical episode is that we're also going to give you what you actually can preach on when you select those titles.
Like what each week would be.
Right. Because that's really the most helpful thing.
We're doing the work for them.
So here we go.
We might as well just go and preach.
Tell your friends.
Yeah.
5 Christmas sermon ideas. Here's number 1. Number 1, this one is pretty generic. We've actually done all of the 4 of the 5 we will have done or are doing by the end of this year.
Yes.
So there we go. First one is pretty generic, but it's what we did our first Christmas. Well,
yes.
Pre-launch. I won't count pre-launch, but actually after we launched, it was our first
real Christmas.
Is carols. We called it Unwrapped, but basically what we did is we took Christmas songs and talk about their meaning and where they came from. Now, for this one, we didn't talk about like Deck the Halls or Jingle Bells.
Yeah.
We did the ones that are more, I guess, historically thought of as hymns. So like Joy to the World, which we found out is not about Christmas. It's about Jesus' second coming. But it was still awesome because it's a Christmas song. Hark the Herald Angels Sing, Angels We Have Heard on High. There's plenty of, I don't know if that's the one.
No.
Yeah, that is one. Go Tell Them Mountain. I think that's what we did.
Yeah.
There are many that take their story of the song from Scripture.
Yeah.
And so you can even play the songs, sing the song is what we did. We actually closed, because we always do a song. Typically we do a song after the message, and so each week actually worked perfectly because they got to learn about the song and then sing it. Was really cool. But yeah, talk about the message, the passage that it was based off of, the historical things that were going on. And that's a really great thing to do. Again, we call it unwrapping the carols of Christmas, whatever. Yeah. But carols is the idea. Christmas carols that are based off of Scripture. You can even talk about things the carols actually say that aren't true. Because some of the things that they say actually didn't happen, so that's interesting. But carols, there's plenty of Christmas carols that are based off Scripture or the Christmas story. You can use that and make a series out of it.
Yeah, this was a really interesting one. As I discovered since then, it is a pretty common series. But I've been in church my whole life. I never sat through it before. So
I hadn't either.
Yeah, it's not as common as you might think. But it was fascinating to me when we were helping, collaborate and prepare these and listening to them, and had multiple people come up and just, because everyone knows these songs. So it's taking like a very common concept and diving deeper into it, which I think is good. It's not taking like this obscure thing that people aren't familiar with. It's like, hey, I know exactly what we're talking about, but I don't really know anything about it. And so it was fascinating.
Yeah. So carols, again, we won't give you 4 specific ones because there's plenty to choose from.
Yeah.
But pick 4 songs, however you want to do it. That's a great, call it whatever you want, but based off carols.
Yep.
Number 2 is one we're doing actually this coming December.
Oh.
Again, we do stuff that we've actually done.
Spoiler,
So we actually know. And again, not original to us, but it doesn't have to be.
Yeah.
It's called He Shall Be Called. There's different ways you could do it. I think another church called it Hope Has a Name or whatever. But it's based off Isaiah 9:6, where it says, Wonderful Counselor, Mighty God, Everlasting Father, Prince of Peace. And so we're doing 4 weeks on that. And what we're going to be doing, since it's only one verse, is like Wonderful Counselor is going to be talking about pain and suffering. So if you experience the pain and suffering, especially the holidays, how is God a wonderful counselor? How is he a mighty God who is a God of justice and, righteousness and goodness and truth? How is he a father? Ultimately, how does he bring us peace? So it's kind of like a topical series on, a verse, but it's 4 weeks. Isaiah 9:6, He shall be called. I guess I'll give you a caveat too. We've done in the past Christmas Eve, which we recommend. It's a really cool thing to do. This year we're not, because Christmas Eve is on a Monday, and so it's really close.
Yeah.
So we're doing 4 weeks, starting December 1st, and then we're doing Christmas Eve. It's going to be its completely own thing. So you can either do a series that all that leads up together, which is what we've always done. This is the first time that Christmas is going to be its own thing. So we're doing 4 weeks. He shall be called, 1 week on each day, and then we're calling it, I don't know what we're going to call it, Christmas at New Sea or whatever. It's going to be very just Christmassy.
Yeah. So you might not have an answer for this, and that's fine if you don't, but sorry. So the first two we mentioned, they kind of, especially, it's easier with the first one tied in with obviously the Christmas story, and obviously the second one leads into it as well, but they're not like preaching through the Christmas story. Any thought of pro or con? I mean, that's not really...
The first one's probably pretty simple,
Yeah.
but the second one, he shall be called, and we haven't done it yet,
Yeah.
but we're all talking about all these things are possible because Jesus came. You know, he's a wonderful counselor. We see that because he came. You know, he's the Prince of Peace. Jesus came to give us peace. So, again, I haven't read the messages for him, but we are going to, you do want to tie it into Christmas.
Yeah.
And we actually see these things in person with Jesus coming.
Yeah, and I think it's good, and gosh, I'm not sure, I don't want this to come off wrong, because I don't want to come across as like, the story of the Christmas story needs something to add to it to make it interesting or something like that, because obviously it doesn't. But I think there's something to be said for that month, like you said, we're not doing this on Christmas Eve, but during December leading up to it, to do something that's not always just going through the Christmas story.
Right.
And I say that because I don't mean to say it's a bad thing to do, but not every year doing the same thing.
Yep, totally.
Because it's just it's probably going to be the highest attended month. And so I think it's good for people that maybe that's the only month they come out of the year to not hear the same thing every year, to hear something a little different.
So carols, number 1, he shall be called on Isaiah 9:6.
Yep.
Number 2, number 3, this is what we did last year.
Yes. 2018.
This was actually, well, there's probably other ones to it, but this was original to us. We didn't get it from anybody.
Yeah, we were creative for once.
Uninvited King.
Yep.
And we did 4 weeks. And so again, because December 1st is actually Thanksgiving weekend this year, because Thanksgiving's late, we're still starting our Christmas series because it's December.
Yeah.
You know, so it makes sense. Last year we did the plan. So uninvited king, this king, Jesus came, although he was not invited.
Yep.
Was the plan, was week 1. So, you know, I don't remember which passage, but it was all, you know, the Christmas passages of like God's plan to send the Messiah. Maybe that one wasn't Matthew or Luke 2 or whatever, but it was just like God's plan to send a Messiah. Why that happened. Week 2 was the motive. Week 1 was the plan. Week 2 was the motive. So week 1 was, I think we had it like who, what, when, and why or something like that.
Yeah.
So the plan was what it was. The motive was why. That was week 2. Why did God send a Messiah? Week 3 was the time. So week 3 was the actual Christmas story, you know, and I always like to do it every year. I have one of the weeks I include how the Christmas story that we come to know is actually completely inaccurate.
Oh,
and like all the things that we do in our nativity scenes are completely wrong.
And then we get shamed for having a nativity scene.
Yes, but it's so much fun to me, so I'm going to do it again this year. I don't know how it's going to fit into He Shall Be Called, but it will. Yep. So week 3 was the time, again, the Christmas story, and then week 4 was Christmas. It was the king, so it was just like Jesus, you know, about it. And so again, the plan, the motive, the time, the king, this uninvited king who has come, because again, we're trying to give you things that you could actually use.
Yep.
That's a 4-week series. Now, like us, if you want to start December 1st, even though it will probably be lower attended because it's Thanksgiving, that's great. You could do Christmas on its own like we are, or you could start the 8th of December and end with the king.
Yeah.
If you do Christmas Eve services, that works as well.
Yep.
So number 4, Songs of Jesus. Now, this is something that we did before we launched. So before we launched, we were meeting at our house. We did a lot of like vision casting and stuff, but like the month of December, I did a little, hit the mic there. I did a little like preaching series thing. And so the songs of Jesus are in Luke chapter 1 and 2, I think. There's 4 songs of Jesus. There's the song of Simeon, Mary's song, the Mary the Magnificent or Magnificat, however you say it. I don't know. I forget. Simeon's song, and there's one more. I forget.
You said Simeon twice.
I did. Okay. No, I said Angel, Simeon, Mary.
Oh,
someone else.
But that's okay.
There's 4 of them in Luke 1 and 2. One of them is only a couple verses. The other ones are bigger. But that's 4 weeks of each week. I think you could call it the Songs of Jesus. You could call it Christmas playlists, for example. I don't know. But there are songs that in Luke 1 and Luke 2 people are singing about the coming Messiah or about the Messiah. Either he's coming or he was born.
Yep.
That sort of thing. That was before Brian and Brittany found us.
That was
month
before
after.
my existence. He mentioned this when we were preparing. I was like,
so
New City didn't
we
exist
hadn't launched
before I
yet.
came. I don't know what you're talking about.
We met you guys, so you probably don't have much to say.
Nope.
But again, it's 4 weeks. Just look at Luke 1 and 2, and you've got Songs of Jesus, Christmas plays, whatever you call it, and you've got 4 weeks.
But you know what, Dylan? It sounds fascinating.
Sounds fascinating. So since it was pre-launch, maybe we'll do it one year.
Oh, maybe. Yes.
So again, those are something you can actually do. And then lastly, number 5, you could do God with us. And what we mean by God with us is God. You could talk about the issues that people are dealing with and how God is with them in there. Obviously, you point to Jesus. So, in pain and suffering and depression, in financial hardships, even in times of joy and celebration, you could pick 4 or 5 topics depending how long the series you want it to be, and talk about how the coming of Jesus shows that God is with us.
And I think what we're seeing here is that the story, the Christmas story, and the coming of Jesus can apply in so many different ways than just going through the story. Like with the last one with God with us, really with any of them we're talking about, there's so many different ways you can apply it to our lives that there's unending sermon series about it. But now you have something that you can go off
because again, you can Google stuff and you can call it Advent or you can call it the light and that sort of thing. But then you might be thinking, what do I actually teach through?
Right.
Our hope was to give you some practical things. And you may be someone that's not about series. You're like, what's the big deal? Just in our opinion, it's not right or wrong. People expect, in December, they expect Christmas stuff.
Yeah.
And I think they're more likely to invite their friends if it's Christmassy. People are in the mood. People are more receptive. And so you can continue doing whatever series you're doing. But in an ideal world, I think it's, generally speaking, different contexts and things going on in your church, obviously, can dictate that. But it's generally speaking to try to take a couple of weeks and focus it just on Christmas because I think people will really connect with it.
Yeah, for sure.
So again, these are 5 series, carols, Christmas carols of any kind. He shall be called on Isaiah 9:6, the 4 names of Jesus. Number 3, uninvited king. Number 4, the songs of Jesus, the songs that are sung in Luke 1 and 2. And number 5, God with us, talking about how Jesus coming impacts different things that we're going through.
Yep.
So thanks for being with us. Again, Facebook, Practical Church Planning Group. We'd love to have you. PracticalPlanning.com, where you can get the show notes. And we'll be with you next time on Practical Church Planning. Thanks so much for watching this episode of Practical Church Planning. Whether you're watching on Facebook or YouTube or Practical Planning, wherever you are, whatever you're doing, make sure you like or subscribe or do whatever it's telling you to do or should do on that platform.
And hey, if you are so tired of looking at our ugly faces, but you're not tired of listening to our beautiful voices, then you can find our podcast if you just search Practical Church Planning on iTunes or Google Play. Make sure not to just find it, not just to listen, but to subscribe.
Make sure you subscribe. Brian, tell them to subscribe.
Subscribe.
See you next time.